The reunion was exactly as I'd imagined. Crepe paper streamers in our old school colors, a DJ playing hits from our graduation year, and Victoria Chen holding court near the punch bowl like she'd never left high school. I smoothed my simple black dress and reminded myself why I'd come. Not for her. For Marcus, my husband, who'd been so excited to show me where he grew up, to introduce me to his favorite teachers, to dance in the same gym where he'd been too shy to ask anyone to prom. Deep breath, Marcus whispered, squeezing my hand. We don't have to talk to her. But Victoria had already spotted us, her predatory smile widening as she sauntered over in heels that probably cost more than my car payment. Marcus. And Sophie, right? She knew my name. We'd been married for 3 years. Still working at that little community center? The Athens Community Education Center, yes, I replied evenly. How nice, she cooed, then turned to Marcus with practiced sympathy. It must be quite an adjustment, dating someone so different from what you're used to. Marcus's jaw tightened. Sophie is exactly. I mean, Victoria continued, steamrolling over him. Remember when we dated? The galas, the country club events, the educational conferences in Paris? But I'm sure Sophie has her own charms. A small crowd had gathered, drawn by the invisible magnetism of brewing drama. Victoria had always been a master at public humiliation disguised as concern. Still pretending to be someone important? She smirked, taking a sip of her wine. I heard you've been telling people you're in education administration. Scheduling after-school programs isn't quite the same as running a school, dear. I felt Marcus tense beside me, ready to defend, but I touched his arm gently. I'd handled worse than Victoria Chen. You're right, I said simply. It's not the same thing at all. She blinked, clearly not expecting agreement. Well, at least you're realistic about your limitations. Oh, extremely realistic, I nodded. I know exactly what I am and what I'm not. Unlike some people, she muttered, loud enough for others to hear. Marcus could have had someone with a real career. Someone who could match his intellect, his ambition. Instead, she gestured vaguely at me, and several people shifted uncomfortably. Marcus's old classmates were watching like it was a tennis match. Victoria, Marcus warned. What? I'm just being honest. We all know you downgraded. She laughed, that tinkling sound that probably charmed boardrooms and devastated assistants. From Stanford MBA to community college dropout. Your mother must be so proud. My mother loves Sophie, Marcus said firmly. Of course she says that. Victoria's smile was pitying. What else could she say? Sorry you married beneath you? I felt my cheeks burn but kept my expression neutral. I'd learned long ago that people like Victoria fed on visible reactions. Remember when we were together? She continued, ostensibly to Marcus but pitched for the crowd. The Education Summit in Switzerland? When the Secretary of Education personally invited us to. The microphone crackled to life, cutting her off. Principal Henderson, now nearing retirement, stood at the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue our trip down memory lane, I have an exciting announcement about Lincoln High's future. Victoria rolled her eyes. Probably announcing some new gym teacher, she stage whispered. The standards here have really. Please welcome Superintendent Dr. James Patterson. Principal Henderson continued. The superintendent took the microphone, his presence commanding immediate attention. Thank you all for being here tonight. As many of you know, Principal Henderson is retiring after 35 years of dedicated service. Polite applause rippled through the gym. Finding his replacement has been our top priority. We needed someone with vision, experience, and a proven track record of transforming educational outcomes. Someone who understands our community, but brings fresh perspectives. Victoria was typing on her phone, probably posting about how tedious small-town announcements were. After an extensive national search, Dr. Patterson continued, we found that person. She's increased graduation rates by 40% at her current institution. She's implemented innovative programs that have become models statewide. She holds a doctorate in educational leadership from Columbia and has published groundbreaking research on inclusive education practices. Finally, someone impressive, Victoria murmured. Maybe I should apply for a board position, help guide. Please welcome your new principal, Dr. Sofia Constantinou. The words hung in the air like a perfectly timed punchline. Victoria's wine glass slipped from her suddenly nerveless fingers, shattering on the gym floor with a crystalline crash that seemed to echo forever. I was already walking toward the podium, my sensible heels clicking across the floor I'd been mopping just an hour ago, helping set up for the reunion. Behind me, I heard the buzz of confused voices, the sharp intake of breath from people who'd just witnessed Victoria's performance. "Dr. Constantinou?" someone whispered. But she said she worked at a community center. At the microphone, I turned to face the crowd, finding Victoria still frozen, wine pooling around her designer shoes. "Thank you, Dr. Patterson," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the speakers. "And thank you all for that warm welcome. I should clarify, I do work at the Athens Community Education Center. As executive director, we serve 15,000 students annually through our alternative education and adult learning programs." The gym was silent except for the distant drip of Victoria's spilled wine. "When I met many of you earlier tonight," I continued, making eye contact with those who'd witnessed Victoria's attack, "I didn't mention my appointment because tonight was about celebrating your memories, not my future. But since Dr. Patterson has made it official." I smiled, finding Marcus in the crowd. He was grinning like he'd won the lottery, which, he'd tell me later, was exactly how he felt watching Victoria's face cycle through disbelief, embarrassment, and rage. "I'm thrilled to be returning to secondary education as Lincoln High's principal. My dissertation on transforming underperforming schools was actually inspired by this very institution. The challenges you've faced, the potential I see. It's why I competed against 200 candidates for this position." 200, someone whispered. "Including," Dr. Patterson added helpfully, "several sitting principals from prestigious prep schools." But Dr. Constantinou's vision was unmatched. Her pilot program turning around Madison High is being replicated nationally. I found Victoria in the crowd. She'd managed to close her mouth, but looked like she'd been slapped with a fish. "Change is never easy," I continued, keeping my tone professional despite the personal satisfaction coursing through me. "But with the right leadership, any institution can transform, even those that others have written off as beneath them." Several people turned to look at Victoria. Someone had produced paper towels for the wine, but she stood frozen, letting others clean around her. "I look forward to working with all of you, parents, community members, alumni, to build the school our children deserve. My door will always be open." "Well," I smiled, "once I officially have a door. Currently, I'm still in the community center's converted supply closet." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd, breaking the tension. "Now," I concluded, "this is your reunion. Please continue celebrating. I'll be around if anyone wants to discuss ideas for Lincoln High's future." Or, I couldn't resist adding, "if anyone wants tips on pretending to be someone important." The applause started slowly, led by Marcus's old chemistry teacher, then swept through the gym like wildfire. I stepped down from the podium and was immediately surrounded by excited parents and community members. Through the crowd, I saw Victoria trying to escape, but Catherine Liu, Marcus's best friend from high school, blocked her path. "So," Catherine said loudly, "you were saying something about Sophie being beneath Marcus? Please continue. I'm fascinated by your assessment of the woman who just became your future kid's principal." I didn't," Victoria stammered. "Oh, but you did," Catherine continued. "We all heard it. Community college dropout, wasn't it? Funny, I don't remember Columbia giving out doctoral degrees to dropouts." Marcus appeared at my elbow, wrapping an arm around me. "That was spectacular," he whispered. "I didn't plan it," I whispered back. "Dr. Patterson was supposed to announce it Monday. He saw what was happening," Marcus said. "He was standing right behind us during Victoria's performance. I think he moved up the timeline on purpose." Dr. Patterson confirmed this moments later, pulling me aside with barely concealed glee. "I apologize for the surprise timing, but when I heard that woman attacking you, claiming you weren't really in education administration," he shook his head. 40 years in education, and I still can't stand bullies." The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Parents approached with ideas, teachers introduced themselves, and old classmates of Marcus's shared stories about Victoria's past victims. Apparently, I wasn't the first lesser girlfriend she'd tried to humiliate. Victoria herself had disappeared, leaving only a stained patch of gym floor and a room full of people excitedly discussing Lincoln High's future. "You know," Marcus said as we slow danced to our graduating class's prom theme, "you could have told her off hours ago, the moment she started." "Why?" I asked, resting my head on his shoulder. "She told everyone I was pretending to be someone important. Turns out she was right. I was pretending to be someone unimportant, to make her comfortable." "Never again?" "Never again," I agreed. Starting Monday, I'm the principal. Her future children, if she has them here, will walk halls I design, learn from teachers I hire, follow policies I create. That's a lot of power. It is, I admitted. Good thing I'm not petty enough to hold grudges. Marcus laughed. Liar. Okay, maybe a little petty. Did you see her face when her wine glass broke? The whole gym saw it. Pretty sure someone filmed it. We turned, and I caught sight of our reflection in the trophy case. Marcus in his slightly outdated suit, me in my simple dress, dancing in the gym where he'd been too shy to dance 20 years ago. For what it's worth, I said. She was right about one thing. You could have had someone like her. Stanford MBA, educational conferences in Paris, the whole package. Marcus stopped dancing, cupping my face in his hands. Sophie, you just got announced as principal in front of the woman who tried to humiliate you. You've published research that's changing how we think about education. You run programs that transform lives. But even if you didn't, even if you really were just scheduling after-school programs, you'd still be worth 1,000 Victoria Chens. Because I'm a good person? I teased. Because you're real, he said seriously. You don't measure people by their titles or their salaries. You see potential where others see problems. That's why you'll be a great principal. And that's why I love you. I kissed him then, right there in the middle of the gym, not caring who saw. When we broke apart, Catherine Liu was grinning at us. Please tell me you're going to make Victoria's life miserable when her kids are students here. I would never, I said primly. I'm a professional educator. But, Catherine prompted. But I might implement a very strict policy about wine at school functions. For safety reasons. The laughter that followed felt like a benediction, washing away the last traces of Victoria's venom. Monday morning, I stood in my new office, a real office with a door and windows and a nameplate reading Dr. Sophia Constantinou, Principal. My community center coffee mug sat on the desk next to a photo of Marcus and me at the reunion, dancing while the gym erupted in applause. My assistant knocked. Dr. Constantinou? There's a Victoria Chen here. Says she needs to speak with you about enrolling her daughter in our pre-K program. I smiled. Send her in. And maybe bring some paper towels. Just in case.